Okay, so this is problem 20, and the structure of the problem is it's very similar, right? Compared to previous problem, it's almost identical, and the topology is a bit different. But this problem, right? I want you to this problem, right? What is really unique about this problem is when you look at this Richland Hills and Arlington, right? It is really connected through these two switches, all the hosts, right? So when you solve the problem like this, right? Let's see. Let me just draw this diagram, okay? So this is the topology, right? Okay, so basically what you have to do is, this is how you should solve this problem. There's a router, right? And then router is connected to basically a switch, right? So there's a switch, and then there's of course a PCs, right? And then there's another port, and this port is connected, this is called a trunk, basically. Okay, so there is another switch, there's a trunk port. These are called trunk port, basically. But anyway, there's a port, right? And there's a PCs that are connected through this port, right? So this is a switch, and then there's a switch, right? And then they said, how many hosts? They said 10 hosts. And then for the Arlington, this is what? This is a 15 host. Right? But looks like, okay, in this case, right? I mean, and then there's another router and etc. Right? So I want you to, when you solve this problem, I think what you have to do is, since this is like, this is how you should think. So this is basically one network. Okay, so there's some. Okay, by the way, this is what? This point is gateway IP address, gateway router IP address, right? Or you can say or you say IP address. I mean, you have to assign if, okay, typically, right? Typically, this fast Ethernet or maybe gigabyte Ethernet, this point, they are typically the system admin use the first usable host IP address. You know, for the IP address, you know, for the gateway router, right? And traditionally, right, they assign what? Assign the first usable host IP address, right? They're using the first, typically they use first usable host IP address for the gateway, right? And by the way, this is not a rule, right? Something that you have to follow, but traditionally, right? Many system admin, when they first get the first usable host IP address for this LAN, right? They assign that first usable host IP address to this for the gateway router. Okay. So when you have two switches, when you compute the, I mean, in this specific homework assignment, okay, when there's a switch, you just add this up. So 10 plus 15, right? So 10 plus 15. So requirement is basically what? 25, right? But you have to add 2, right? 25 plus 2, so 27. So assuming that requirement for this LAN is 27 hosts. I mean, not the 20, okay. That's not the right way to say 27 IP addresses. Okay, because 25 usable plus 2, right? So we can have 27 IP addresses. So requirement for this LAN is 27 IP addresses. Okay? So any question? And let's take a look at this problem a little bit further. So it has a 50 and 12 and then 60, right? So which which network you have to start with? The first one, because you have to start with the largest group first, right? So the host has what, 60 hosts, right? So this is the network that you have to start with first, because there's 16. I think 16, right? Next one is 15, right? And next one is 25. This is 25, right? Richland and Arlington together is 25. And the last one that you have to tag is 12. Oh, actually, we have two more, right? So this serial line, right? These are two networks. So how many networks in total? One, right? Two. Okay, let's start with the first one. The first one, right? Hearst, and then Ulyss, right? The 50, right? And then the third one is this guy, right? Richland and Arlington together. And then the fourth one is Bedford, 12. And then two serial lines, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are six networks, right? So you need to find the network address, for the six networks, 6 subnet basically. Okay, so any question? And when you look at, actually, so for your homework assignment, you need to do what, the next one, right? I mean, like problem 21, as you can see, you have to add this up, because this is like, there are two switches. So for this LAN, you have, okay, for this LAN, right? You have to add 40 plus 17. So you can think as like 57 hosts, right? And for the same thing for this, 23 plus 15. The lastly, you have this network, right? So 35 plus 18. And then two serial lines. So two subnets for the two serial lines. Okay? So any question? Okay. So let's take a 1 minute break.